Your money's safe in the banks, isn't it? Well, up to a point, Lord Copper, unless it's a Cyprus bank. The bank holiday there has been extended, but when business reopens, people with money in savings accounts are going to find out, or likely to find out, they're worse off. Why, in the financial crisis, no one before has thought of the very simple remedy of simply stealing money from people's bank accounts, economists can't quite believe. Stealing isn't the technical term, of course, but the effect is much the same. Is it possible that people elsewhere in the Eurozone will be so spooked they lose faith in the banking system? Joe Lynham's in Nicosia.
Yes, tonight in Nicosia there's still that profound sense of shock here amongst ordinary Cypriots as they debate and discuss the fact that their deposits are going to be taxed. They've had 2 days to digest it, and they're going to get 2 more because there's 2 emergency bank holidays have been assigned. And that will give the president, who lives in the building behind that very sexy roundabout over there, time to bring a vote to the parliament and potentially do some sort of deal. But as it stands at the moment, there will be no deal because he doesn't have the votes in Parliament, and it means that the rest of the world, as it looks on, will wonder how will this tiny country of less than a million have managed to plunge the Eurozone back into crisis.
It doesn't feel like a holiday in Cyprus today. Cypriots are supposed to be fasting ahead of the Orthodox Easter celebrations. Today they are feasting on their politicians who have devoured their savings in a weekend. Cypriot MPs entering the Parliament building were left under no illusions as to how their electorate felt about the proposed raid on their savings, arranged in another country and deliberately over a long weekend so that they couldn't move their deposits in time. After telling his country yesterday that he had no choice but to pay up to save the economy, today President Nikos Anastasiadis was wading his way through the world's media as he tried to broker a revised deal and also to save his job. That deal means that the banks will stay closed until Thursday now, and any planned vote won't be until tomorrow afternoon at the earliest.
We feel that we have been blackmailed by the Eurogroup. They take a decision that is very paradoxal for the Eurozone itself. We are supposed to have a banking union. It's inconceivable that in a banking union you raise taxes on the deposits. It's unbelievable.
And here's what they're haggling over. Deposits over €100,000 could be paying a new tax of around 12.5%. That's up from 9.9% agreed on Saturday. Deposits under €100,000, i.e. most ordinary savers, would still be on the hook for a once-off 3% levy, as is being discussed. But that's at least down from 6.75% that they faced first thing this morning. Also in the mix is a potential banding system where the lowest rate would be charged on deposits under €100,000, a middle band between €100,000 and €500,000, and a top rate for savings of over €500,000. Vasilis Nicolaou is a teacher near Larnaca. He has around €40,000 on deposit and a further €200,000 in a company pension plan. He could be out of pocket by over £23,000 as a result of the new taxes. He's clear who he blames.
I was very angry because I felt I was cheated by our politicians, our president, the Minister of Finance, because they were giving us assurances that there's going to be no haircut. Or at least those deposits below 100,000, they will not be affected.
And the Germans have once again come in for a lot of flack. They say it's a matter for the Cypriots to decide how they fund any bailouts.
This is not our problem. What we need is to get out of this program €6 billion in order that we are willing to give them 10 billion in order that Cyprus can survive and has enough money and liquidity for the next months.
But almost half the deposits in Cyprus are held by non-Cypriots, and most of that by Russians, who like the fact that they can park their money where the sun shines, taxes are few, and questions asked even fewer. On top of that, it was the Cypriot government, based in this Parliament building behind me, who didn't want the top rate of tax to be any more than 10% on the super rich. And that effectively meant that it was the less well-off voting Cypriot public who would be subsidising the elite.
So how did tiny Cyprus, representing a mere 0.2% of EU GDP, end up so in hock? Well, like Iceland, its banks grew to 8 times the size of the economy, lending money to anyone and everyone who wanted it in the boom years, especially Greek property developers. When the crisis came and the boom went, Cypriot banks were left holding useless loans. What's left now is a low-tax economy even more dependent on tourism.